Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnana-shalakaya Chakshur-militam yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Yeah, so welcome everyone to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class. My honor and pleasure to speak on this wonderful occasion. We'll be reading from Canto 4, Chapter 30, entitled The Activities of the Prachetas, Text 8. Repeat after me. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Varam Vrinidvam Bhadrambo Yuyam Me Nripanandanaha Bhagavanu Vacha Varam Vrinidvam Bhadrambo Yuyam Me Nripanandanaha Sohardena Pritak Dharma Tushtoham Soridenava. O sons of the king, so hardena, pleased, by friendship, apritak, non-different, dharmaha, occupation, tushtaha, pleased, aham, I, so hridena, by friendship, vaha, of you. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "My dear sons of the King, I am very much pleased by the friendly relationships among you. All of you are engaged in one occupation." What do you think that is? Devotional service. "I am so pleased with your mutual friendship that I wish you all good fortune. Now you may ask a benediction from me." So please repeat. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said,
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said,
"My dear sons of the King,
My dear sons of the King,
I am very much pleased
I am very much pleased
by the friendly relationships among you.
by the friendly relationships among you.
All of you are engaged in one occupation,
All of you are engaged in one occupation,
devotional service.
devotional service.
I am so pleased with your mutual friendship
I am so pleased with your mutual friendship
that I wish you all good fortune.
that I wish you all good fortune.
Now you may ask a benediction from me."
Now you may ask a benediction from me.
Purport. Since the sons of King Prachina Bahishat were all united in Krishna consciousness, the Lord was very pleased with them. Each and every one of the sons of King Prachina Bahishat was an individual soul, but they were united in offering transcendental service to the Lord. The unity of the individual souls attempting to satisfy the Supreme Lord or rendering service to the Lord is real unity. What is real unity? Thank you. In the material world, such unity is not possible. Even though people may officially unite, they all have different interests. In the United Nations, for instance, all the nations have their particular national ambitions, and consequently they cannot be united. This unity between individual souls is so strong within this material world that even in a society of Krishna consciousness, imagine that, members sometimes appear disunited due to their having different opinions and leaning toward material things. Those are the two reasons you got like this. Having different opinions and leaning toward material things. Actually, in Krishna consciousness, there cannot be two opinions. There is only one goal, to serve Krishna to one's best ability. If there is some disagreement over service, such disagreement is taken as spiritual. There's spiritual disagreement. Those who are actually engaged in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot be disunited in any circumstance. This makes the Supreme Personality of Godhead very happy and willing to award all kinds of benedictions to his devotees, as indicated in this verse. We can see that the Lord is immediately prepared to award all benedictions to the sons of King Prachina Bahishat. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So Prabhupada is saying that disunity is very prevalent in this world. And especially in Kali Yuga, because it's the age of quarrel and hypocrisy. So the fact that there is that we see disunity all around us is just kind of natural for this age. It's the default situation of this age, that there's disunity, there's quarrel, disagreement, hypocrisy, and also this leaning toward material things, because we're in the material world. And that's why we're here, is because we have a leaning towards material things. So that's why these things are so prominent all over the place, and even within our society of Krishna consciousness, Prabhupada points out. So, if we look at the different factors that cause disunity within our movement, within our devotee communities, Prabhupada really, as always, hit the nail on the head. That it's due to, what? Does anyone remember the two things? Different opinions. And?
Leaning towards material things.
Okay. Yeah, so leaning towards material things implies material identification. Right? Because when we identify with ourselves as material bodies, then we feel like material things become very important to us, because if I'm material, then I'm invested in material things. A spirit soul is not interested in material things. A spirit soul spiritualizes material things by using them in Krishna's service. But as long as we're identifying materially, we'll have this leaning towards material things, and it'll come out in all of our dealings, our activities, our thoughts, our feelings, our relationships, and it'll cause disunity. Because on the Babali platform, we're all very different, right? We're from different kinds of families. We're from different, some of us are from different countries, different cultures. We have different upbringing, different conditioning. We have different karma. We have different, skin color. We have different hairstyles. We have different genders, different ages. It's just unlimited. The differences among us are actually unlimited. But yesterday we had a nice exercise with the Yadnath Prabhu where we were celebrating the differences. So in Krishna consciousness, we can celebrate the differences because I remember when I was taking the GVC college course and we were talking about team building, which was the whole point of Yadnath Prabhu's exercise yesterday. It was a team building workshop. So when you want to, in forming a team, you want diversity. That's like one of the things that you look for when you're forming a team. You don't want everyone to think exactly like you, because then you're very limited in your outcomes, right? If everybody's just groupthink, everybody's all thinking and feeling the same way, then there's not much scope for creativity or innovation or out of the box or just different perspectives on things which can add a greater and broader insight. So we want diversity. We want many perspectives, many thoughts. We want people coming from different backgrounds to bring in their views. And that's important for us because after all, we're an outreach movement. We're focused on outreach. We want to spread Krishna consciousness. And we don't just want to spread Krishna consciousness to one kind of people, the kind of people that think like us and are attracted to things that we like. We want to spread Krishna consciousness to everybody, to a whole diverse range of individuals out there in the world. And so in order to attract diversity, we need to have diversity in our communities. So diversity is something that we should not we shouldn't try to make everyone like us. We should celebrate diversity, encourage diversity, and welcome diversity. Because that's a lot of our success as a movement is dependent on the diversity. So, Prabhupada says that in Krishna consciousness there cannot be two opinions. So I've just said that, we should have diversity, we should not think alike, we should have different perspectives and different views. But Prabhupada's saying that in Krishna consciousness, actually there cannot be two opinions. So it seems a little contradictory, right? But Prabhupada's saying that, of course, we may have disagreements amongst ourselves. But there's one opinion, which is the overarching opinion, which is the goal. The Prabhupada says to serve Krishna to one's best ability. So in Krishna consciousness, we should all have this goal that we want to please Krishna. Some siddhir manigoshanam, that the perfection, the supreme perfection of life, of our occupations, of whatever we do, is to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And if we're all focused on that as our goal, then it's fine for us to actually have different opinions. Actually, those different opinions become one opinion because they all come to the same goal. They're all oriented toward the same goal. So a lot of the disagreements that are within our movement on different issues, there's plenty of conflicts and controversies. But if you look at the personalities and the reason why they think the way they think, if you actually talk to the person, they're usually not a demon. They're usually not out to get us or just envious and horrible and want to distort our movement by not doing what we think they should be doing. But they just have different ideas about how to please Krishna due to where they're coming from. They only think, our movement will do this. And someone else is thinking, no, the best way to spread Krishna consciousness is this. And the third person's saying, no, if we really want to be successful and expand Prabhupada's movement, we have to do this. And those three things all seem to be mutually exclusive of each other, totally contradictory of each other. But the fact is that there's unity in the diversity because they all want the same thing. They all want to please Krishna and spread Krishna consciousness, and they just have different views about how to do that. And that's okay, because one person's way of spreading Krishna consciousness will attract a certain type of people, and another person's way of spreading Krishna consciousness will attract another type of people. And through all these different strategies and approaches, then we can attract all different kinds of people. So that it actually expands our scope for being influential and impactful in this world. Someone was giving class one time and saying that if you think about the way a tree grows, if a tree is going to grow, it needs to capture the most sunlight possible, right? The leaves need to be exposed to sun. So if the tree just grows straight up and all the branches are just here, like here, 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 then the top ones will get sun, but the ones below are going to be in the shade for most of the day. So what does a tree do? It branches out. And so one branch goes in this direction, one branch goes in that direction, another branch goes in that direction, and that way they're able to maximize the amount of sun that they can capture and optimize their growth. So in the same way, different devotees have different opinions about how to spread Krishna consciousness. So one devotee leads a certain strategy, and then people who are, really enlivened by that strategy, they'll get involved with that. Another one over here is doing a different strategy, and in that way, the tree is spreading like that. We're able to reach out, because outreach means we're reaching out. So if we're just all reaching out this way, what about the people over there? We need to reach out 360 degrees, right? All around. And this branch reaching out this way looks like it's the opposite. It looks like it's going the opposite direction of the branch reaching out that way, right? But actually they're going in the same direction, because they're all reaching out for the same purpose, to bring people to Krishna consciousness, to connect them to the root, which is Krishna, the root of all existence, the reservoir of all pleasure, the source of all love. So with this understanding, we can actually cooperate. This is the basis for cooperation, for mutual respect within the society of devotees. And the Prachetas are a good example of this, because the Prachetas were all brothers, and they all decided that, we have a mission, and in order to fulfill our mission, we have to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because without that, nothing is possible. And they were all on the same page together. We're going to meditate on the Lord and offer our prayer. So in the same way, like we all sit down together and chant japa, we have like a unified consciousness. Although we're different individuals, but we're all chanting the same mantra. We're here together, and we're all trying to please Krishna, connect with Krishna, inspire each other to connect with Krishna. So that was the example that the Prachetas set. And they're a very good example of cooperation. But Srila Prabhupada, he really needed for us to cooperate, and he still needs for us to cooperate to spread his movement. He said this in different letters. He said, this is a letter to Upendra in 1970. Now all my disciples must work combinedly and with cooperation to spread the Sankirtan movement. If you cannot work together, then my work is stopped up. Our society is like one big family, and our relationship should be based on love and trust. We must give up the fighting spirit and use our intelligence to push ahead. And then another letter, he says, our ISKCON should be taken as being a family based upon love and trust. So as the father becomes unhappy when one of his children wishes to break family connections, I also become unhappy when there is difficulty within our ISKCON family. So Srila Prabhupada, he saw that the basis of cooperation was this love and trust. And we often hear that our movement, our society is based on love and trust. And recently, when I was in Mayapur, I attended the SGGS, the Sannyasi Guru GVC Sangha. And one of the questions that they asked all the ISKCON leaders, there were maybe around 50 ISKCON leaders, sannyasis, gurus, and GVCs in the room, and a few lowly soul supervisors like myself who snuck in. And they asked this question, that what is the one thing that ISKCON needs to do to ensure its future success? And everybody wrote down everybody wrote one thing, and then we wrote on a paper and we passed it in, and then they typed them all up quickly and read them all out. And they made a tally of like the frequency of the responses. And so the top three responses were these. The first one was to facilitate loving exchanges between devotees. The second one was to establish a culture of love and trust. And the third one was to establish more personal connections with newcomers. So it really struck me very, deeply that every single one of these, the top priorities, that the topmost level of leadership in our movement are seeing as the thing that we need to do to be successful, that are all based on loving relationships, on being personal, on developing trust, on loving exchanges. And so, and this is what Prabhupada insisted on. We need cooperation. Cooperation is based on love and trust. So then how to establish these loving relationships? Any ideas? How to establish relationships based on love and trust among ourselves? Yes?
Engaging in service with who we want to establish a relationship.
Okay, so serving together. Yeah? Just cooperating together, you come to appreciate and love each other. Yeah?
Chant Hare Krishna in a humble state of mind.
Okay, by chanting Hare Krishna in a humble state of mind, we purify the heart of all the things that are blocking our natural love and trust. Because actually, it's our nature to be loving and trusting souls. Because Krishna is loving, Krishna is trusting. Krishna is affectionate. That's one of his qualities, is that he's Bhakta Vatsala. In all of his dealings, he's so affectionate. And because we're parts and parcels of Krishna, we also, our nature is also to be extremely affectionate. But it's just blocked. It's covered. That natural tendency is covered by conditioning. So we need to chant, to get all the coverings off and let that just arise. Yes, Martin?
Offering anything from the heart, not from the womb.
Offering what? Someone called.
Offering and leading the best from the heart, not from the womb.
Okay, so offering and leading from the heart and not from the
Not
womb.
from the womb.
Okay, right. Because sometimes we've been hurt
Yes.
or we have trauma,
Right.
and based on our traumas, we can make a lot of assumptions about why people are doing things.
We can project our wound onto others.
Yeah.
Independently, but
Right.
it causes more trouble instead.
Right, yeah. So just try to be objective, give people the benefit of the doubt, and assume good intentions.
Offer sweetness,
Yeah.
you reference to somebody from a place of sweetness.
Okay,
So reciprocate.
good. Thank you, Lavan.
I would say following the 6 loving exchanges that are talked about in the Nectar of Instruction, that really
Mhm.
helps. And following them, all of them, you're revealing the mind, and then inquiring confidentially, and then giving and exchanging gifts, or giving something prasadam. I've noticed communities that do this really well and have a lot of love and trust.
Okay, good. So yeah, that's the formula for loving relationships given by Srila Rupa Goswami, is these 6 loving exchanges: offering gifts in charity, accepting charitable gifts, revealing one's mind in confidence, inquiring confidentially, accepting prasad and offering prasad. These are the 6 exchanges of love between one devotee and another. So yeah, and actually it works, and we see that anybody who wants to develop a loving relationship with anybody, even if they're not devotees, they do these things, right? Whether they do them to win trust. Of course, we have to be careful, because some people can also have selfish intentions when they do these things, right? Like if a politician is giving charity generously just because he wants people to vote for him, or if someone is trying to woo another person, they might give gifts and give money, buy things for them, or give them chocolates and flowers and to try to get their love. So they can also be misused. Instead of the 6 loving exchanges, they can also be the 6 lustful exchanges. So we have to be careful of our intention. And also, it's important to know the person, because trust is not something that develops overnight, right? Trust requires long-term relationships. Yes?
Make time to attend retreats like this where we can learn together and get to know each other.
Okay, good. Yeah, so just getting to know each other, connecting, taking the time off of our regular duties, because sometimes we can get so busy that we don't have time for each other. We don't have time to just sit down and talk to each other, have those, heart-to-heart connections that we actually need. It's surprising that devotees who have been practicing Krishna consciousness for 30, 40, 50 years, these were the things that they're identifying as the needs, that we need love in our movement. Like, we're not, even after 40, 50 years of practicing Krishna consciousness, there's a lack of love, they're not feeling the love that we're supposed, and that's the goal, that's the whole goal of Krishna consciousness, is Krishna prema, is love for God. And when we love Krishna, then that love will naturally spill out to all, Krishna's parts and parcels, to all souls. And so it's very important. And actually, something that Prabhupada says in relation to the 6 loving exchanges is that by doing them properly, with the actual intention to have affectionate relationships with devotees, and inspire each other in their services, that love that develops for the devotees is a precursor to love for Krishna. That love for Krishna develops through the 6 loving exchanges between devotees. That's where it starts. So don't think that you can have a loving relationship with Krishna without loving the devotees. It's just not possible. That's not how it works. That's why we need to serve devotees. That's why we need to accept a spiritual master. Because the way that Krishna, this is the process that Krishna said, this is how you can approach me, is through my devotees. This is how you will love me, is by loving my devotees. So when our love and service, loving service, goes up through devotees, it goes to Krishna. And Krishna's love and his mercy comes back down through the devotees. So we give love and service to Krishna through devotees, and we receive love and mercy from Krishna through devotees. So devotees are essential. That's why Prabhupada said, if you think you can make spiritual advancement outside of the association of devotees, you're living in a hallucination. We need devotees. There's no connection to Krishna without devotees. Okay. So then the next thing to consider is, are we willing to do the work? Right? Because, like what we saw, how is it possible that after so many years of practicing Krishna consciousness, the loving relationships are still lacking? Because, we've been doing this service, doing that, cooking the next feast, preparing the next festival, making sure everything is spotlessly clean, going out and distributing so many books, doing so many services, but but it seems like the missing piece is that we're not engaging in these loving exchanges in the way or to the scope that we need to be. And so the conclusion is that love and trust doesn't just happen. It doesn't just happen. It requires work. It requires cultivation. And that's why Rupa Goswami says that bhakti is a cultivation. It's work, right? Like a farmer cultivating a field. The crop doesn't just grow. You don't just take a handful of seeds, throw them out there on the ground, and then you get like an amazing crop that's going to feed the whole community. No, you need to cultivate. There's work that needs to be done. So that work in forming those loving, trusting relationships, many things are required. For example, honesty. We need to be honest and truthful in our dealings, transparent in all of our interactions, in order to counteract that tendency in Kali Yuga towards hypocrisy and the tendency to cheat. And so truthfulness, honesty is very important. And another thing is that we need to honor our commitments. So, if we say that we're going to do a service, we need to show up for the service, prepared, on time, be responsible. And especially if we made a personal commitment to somebody, that somebody's expecting us, they're counting on us, then we need to show up for each other, right? If you're expecting someone to be there to do something, and they just don't show up, then it's like, how can you trust them, Or they say something and they do another thing, how can you trust them? So we need to be very honest and straightforward, very responsible, and communicate very clearly. Because sometimes it's not what we say, it's what we don't say that gets us into trouble and makes people think that we're untrustworthy and unreliable. Right? Because someone is expecting us to be there for a program or to come over for prasadam or to show up for a service. And we have every intention to be there, but something happened. We missed the bus, we got a flat tire, whatever, there's an emergency. Just let them know, just communicate that, I'm really sorry this happened, I can't be there. And then the person's like, all right, thank you for informing me, I'll make another arrangement. But if we just don't show up, then we're seen as unreliable. People think, oh, I can't count on that person. Another thing is to be able to admit when we're wrong. So, we do all make mistakes. To err is human. And it doesn't matter who you are, if you're, just a new devotee, or if you're just the ashram leader, or if you're just a, temple president, or just, I'm just saying just so that everybody's equally just something. If you're whoever, we all make mistakes. And it can be hard, especially if you're a senior devotee and you make a mistake that affects a junior devotee. It can be hard to really just feel like, go for the senior person to go to the junior person and be like, oh, I really messed up, and I see that it affected you, and I'm really sorry. But admitting that we're wrong is actually, it's a sign of advancement. It's a sign that I care about you. I'm not just going to be okay with having hurt you or inconvenienced you. And that builds trust, because when we show that we care about people, then they're like, oh, this person cares. I can trust them because they care about me. And they're willing to put their ego aside in order to do what's right, basically do what's right. So when we act in these ways, and being vulnerable, like this came up in the discussion yesterday, that being vulnerable, it shows trust, because it means that I'm human. I'm also like everybody else, that I have my things that I struggle with. I have my baggage that I'm working to unload, and it also makes me act in ways that are unsavory. And we're all struggling together, and we all need each other's help. So that builds trust when there's that kind of understanding. So, but these things require work. They require each one of us. We can't just be like, I don't trust you and you don't trust me, so whatever, we're just going to do our thing in isolation. We can't grow like that. We don't grow individually like that, and we're not going to grow as a movement like that. So we all need to do the individual work of being honest, showing up for each other, being responsible, being vulnerable, being willing to admit that we're wrong, being helpful, just stepping in when there's a need, standing up for what's right, even if it's not in my interest to do so, but doing the right thing. Because after all, it's not about being right. Sometimes when there's an argument, it's like you want to be right. But it's not about being right, it's about coming closer to the absolute truth, right? And also, it's not about being the best. It's not that my service has to be the best, or I have to have the position, or something, but it's about what's most pleasing to Krishna. Like, in the spiritual world, two gopis are making a garland, and both of them want to offer their garland to Krishna. But the garland that's going to go to Krishna is the best garland, is the most beautiful garland. So if one gopi made a garland, she sees that another gopi's garland came out much prettier, she's going to be like, oh, offer that one, because it's going to be more pleasing to Krishna. So if there's a service that, two people want to do the service, but you realize that, oh, this person's actually going to do it better, then you do it, because you're going to do it better. So we saw that. We had experience of that yesterday in the class, where, there was like rock, paper, scissors, and we all wanted our team to win. But as soon as we saw that the other team was the winning team, then we're like, oh, you go and take up the next competition then, because you won. So we just want to go with whoever is most pleasing to Krishna. You do it then. And at the same time, we help others to come up, because we want everyone to be very pleasing to Krishna. So we encourage others also in that direction. So I want to stop here and take some questions and comments or reflections on these points. Yes?
Just to clarify about the points about validating the cohort, he said there's disagreements because of two things, differences of opinions, and then also material attachments. Is it correct to understand that material attachments, that differences rooted from that should be avoided, but differences rooted from differing opinions, just different basis of opinion should try to be reconciled? Is that the correct understanding?
Yeah. So the differences of opinion that cause conflict or disunity are when we're self-centered, when we're not Krishna-centered. Usually if I had a paper, I would draw this diagram. When I'm teaching Bhakti Shastri about this, I always draw this diagram, that it's like, if we put ourselves in the center, then there's this idea that everything revolves around me, right? So it's like, I want to eat what I want to eat, I want to do what I want to do, I want to go where I want to go. And then if you're here, so imagine a dot, that's me, or you, with all these circles. What I like to eat, what I like to do, the music that I like, the style of kirtan, whatever. There are all these circles around, right? Like when you throw a pebble in the water, all these concentric circles. So there are all these concentric circles revolving around me. And then there's somebody standing here, and they have their likes, their things, their kirtan style, their services, they think, whatever, but it's all revolving around them. So what's happening, if you throw 2 stones in the water at the same time, then there's concentric circles around them, then at some points they clash. There's going to be clash, because the 2 centers are sending out waves that bump into each other. So then there's always going to be clash when we put ourselves in the center. And the more people are together, the more self-centered people are together, the more clashes there are going to be. It's just going to be clash after clash, multiple clashes. You're clashing with this person on that side, that person on that side, and it's chaos. But if Krishna is in the center of everybody's consciousness, then there's just one center, and then everybody's just eating what Krishna likes to be offered, and doing what's pleasing to Krishna, and going where Krishna needs you to go for your service, and right, and we're serving together with Krishna in the center, and then there's no clash, because there's just one center, and everybody's revolving around Krishna. Yeah. So in that case, there's still, you still might, someone might like spicy food, another person likes more bland food, and someone likes Italian, another person likes Indian, or whatever, right? But still, it's all offered to Krishna. It's still got Krishna in the center. So there's still different opinions, but because Krishna's in the center, they don't cause disunity. They cause diversity, which is something we want, right? That's wanted. Okay, thank you. I don't think there's a mic.
One thing I was thinking is
Oh, there's a mic. It's loading, yeah.
one thing I think that makes Krishna House very special, and I like that you give the example of the gopis and the garlands. Whoever makes the better garland, then okay, give that one to Krishna, give it. But Krishna House too, in a way, is the newest person is always like very empowered and supported, and like all the devotees there are so like happy when new people come. And I think that's true for like any temple, just to see that Krishna has a new visitor. But at Krishna House specifically, it's almost like you have a whole team of devotees who are like willing to just pick you up, and like, you're leading Mango Arti for the first time, or Guru Puja or something, and it's like you don't know the words and you kind of don't know the beat, but then like suddenly all the devotees just jump in and they're just carrying you. And I feel like that reflects a lot of that, the same mood of the gopis, and taking that newer person and just lifting them up.
Yeah. Yeah, because that is the best service. The best service is to bring people to Krishna, right? And that's why I like talking about the gopis. That's why they all came to this world, right? Like Rupa Goswami, like our 6 Goswamis, they're all, gopis in the spiritual world. And they came here to bring all of us back to Krishna. So that's what great devotees do. That's what Krishna's eternal associates do when they come to this world. And that's what we should do too. Following in their footsteps, taking inspiration and empowerment from them, is to act as instruments in your service of bringing everybody to Krishna. Thank you. Is that Sarah?
Hare Krishna. My question is about this trust topic, invulnerable trust. It can happen where we violate or we betray each other's trust. And so, how do we navigate that? If our trust has been betrayed, how do we try and redevelop that trust or offer it? I've heard, sometimes relationships you just need to find the right distance to make the relationship work. But in a way that is sort of allowing that distrust to maintain a space so that you don't commit offenses. Or then this kind of second part is, what about if we betray someone's trust? How do we go about trying to amend or atone for that?
Yeah, good question. If we betray someone's trust, and we come to realize it, excuse me, then we need to work really hard. Then we have, like, it's hard, you know, it can take a whole lifetime, you know, to win back that person's trust. It requires a lot of, like I was saying, to build trust in the first place requires a lot of work. It's hard work, a lot of effort, a lot of conscious activity. But after having betrayed someone's trust, it requires even more, like 10 times more, to re-establish that. And so we need to do all the same thing. First we need to go to them and, you know, talk to the person and say, I realize that I've, you know, betrayed your trust, and I feel really terrible about this, and I want to apologize, and try to explain ourselves and reveal our hearts and sincerely apologize, and just take a very humble position. On the other hand, if someone has betrayed our trust, then we have to also give them the opportunity to reestablish trust. If they're not willing to do the work to reestablish trust, or if they don't value our trust, if they don't value the relationship with us, then then they may not be worthy of our trust, right? It's not that everyone is worthy of our trust. And that's why it takes, it's just like, I was in a meeting one time and we were talking about love and trust, and then someone said, yeah, love and trust is all very well and good until it isn't, right? Until you give someone your love, you give them your trust, and then they just, you know, exploit you or mistreat you or take advantage of you in some way. So that's why I'm saying we can't just, you know, give our trust so quickly like that. It's something very valuable, and it takes time, and that's why we need to cultivate relationships. We need to have long-term relationships. So these relationships that, you know, most of you are new devotees, so just still getting to know each other and cultivating these loving friendships. But just keep investing in the relationships. Don't let them go. You know, keep building these relationships, and then, you know, you'll have lifetime friendships where you have many people that you love very deeply, that you care about, that you know care about you, that you trust. You can tell them anything. You can always count on them to be there for you. In the beginning, it's not there. It takes time, and it comes from experience. So, yeah. We just need to keep serving together, chanting together, you know, taking prasadam together, just being there for each other, and cultivating trust in all these ways, and it will be there. But once trust is there, it's something very, very valuable. It's something that we should just like cherish and protect, like the most valuable jewel, and be very careful not to drop it, not to lose it, not to smash it. You know, just like keep it like a treasure. That person's trust and our trust in someone else. Okay, Manohar? He's waiting for the mic.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for giving class, Prabhu. The comments, the concepts that you brought up are very nice and extremely important. I'm wondering if you can give a practical example of what one might do to cultivate this love and trust. Like my position as a conditioned soul, this might not be so easy to apply. So I'm wondering what's like kind of the sadhana or maybe things that I can do practically to express or cultivate this love and trust.
Yeah, I went through some things, like, you know, being there when you're supposed to be there. You know, when there's one letter to Srila Prabhupada where he talks about love and trust, and then he immediately, next sentence, he says, so everyone should attend Mangal Arti, chant 16 rounds, Srimad Bhagavatam class. So, you know, as devotees, it's not just a question, like trust is not just due to your personal good qualities, you know, that you care about me, that you listen to me attentively, that you know, are a responsible person, but it's also based on our Krishna consciousness. You know, you trust a person who is very Krishna conscious, you know, someone who's, you know, dedicated to Srila Prabhupada. someone who's really wanting that, when you see that Krishna is really in the center. So when you see that somebody is very dedicated in their sadhana, always there, you can count on them to be there. So when you see that, when you can count on them to show up for Krishna at the morning program, then that's a good sign that they'll also show up for Krishna's devotees. They'll show up for you when you need them to be there. So that's something that we can do, is just have really good sadhana. Show up for the morning program, show up for our services, and then, if we see that somebody needs some extra help, just step in. Hey, looks like you need some help. Can I assist you? Can I support you? And like that. And, take time out for each other, develop friendships. Yeah, all the things that you mentioned. Are you thinking of something would you like to add something?
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, Malati Prabhu. Way in the back there. Right here.
Hare Krishna. In terms of the apologies for when you stub somebody else's toe or worse, the apology has to be, very effective, and it also has to be accepted. And if you say, I'm really sorry that I did what I did, and you describe what you think you did, because sometimes what you think you did is not really what the problem is. So, but you still do that. I'm sorry, I did this. And before you start explaining yourself, which comes off sometimes self-serving and defensive, you say, what can I do to rectify this situation? And generally there will be some opportunity in that conversation where either you're going to understand that what you did isn't exactly as you think it was, and also the opportunity to explain yourself if that needs to be. But what is most important is to be genuinely, I'm sorry. And that can really be kind of profound sometimes. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, so let's all remember this question. What can I do to rectify the situation? And whatever the other person says, that's what we have to do.
And there's another thing. It's not that every time you may be accused of something or something, someone thinks you did something a certain way, they may be wrong also. But it's not your business to point that out so much as to look into yourself and find out, there's something here for me. This is not right, what they're saying. At the same time, they might not be willing or even wanting to hear that. So then you have to think, what is it that I've actually done? Maybe not that. That is just a match being, scratched to put a line on something else. So the situation that seems to be the problem may not even have anything to do with the real problem is that you need to look at within yourself.
Yeah, that's good. It's good to hear the problem from the other person, right? To get to the root of it. Because we think, all I did was this, I don't know why they're so upset with me. But sometimes we're so oblivious. We're actually oblivious to how we affect others, right? And also, to not try to validate my mistake because they did something wrong, then that justifies my doing something wrong, so it's all okay. It just neutralizes, it cancels each other out, right? No, it doesn't cancel each other out. We still need to own up to what we've done wrong, even if they've done something wrong, and take responsibility for that. And it shouldn't be contingent on their rectification. Okay, we have some...
Forgive me for speaking from a position of personal experience, but what do you do in the events of the breach of trust coming from the authority that you trusted and that give you shelter, and that the breach of trust kind of affects your 30-year service, that breaks your connection with the temples and stuff like that? Like, what do you do in these situations? How do you get the power to stay and listen to you and not walk out of the room when you're speaking?
Yeah, it's very difficult when you, especially, in ISKCON, we really, we depend so much on senior devotees, and we really want to have these loving relationships, especially with our mentors and gurus, and you know, unfortunately, it sometimes happens that such people prove to be untrustworthy. So what to do in a situation? One is to recognize that we're all works in progress, and like I said before, it doesn't matter what position somebody is in, but everybody can make mistakes. And yeah, we have to allow people space to make mistakes, even if they are a senior devotee, even if they are our guru. And because they made a mistake doesn't necessarily mean that they're not trustworthy. It just means that they're human. And then how they respond, what they do after making the mistake determines whether they're trustworthy or not, right? Like whether they do try to rectify themselves, or whether they think, you know, I'm a senior devotee, I can do whatever I want, and who cares what happens? You know, then you know. You have to see the attitude and the actions that they take after making a mistake, whether we need to withdraw our trust or not. And sometimes we do need to withdraw our trust from such people. But the thing is that we shouldn't be very surprised when these things happen. Because after all, it's Kali Yuga, and Kali Dosha Nidhi Rajan. That it says in the Bhagavatam that Kali Yuga is an ocean of faults. So if you're in an ocean of water, you're going to get wet. If you're in an ocean of faults, you're going to have faults and see faults everywhere, right? That's what it means to be in an ocean of faults. There's just faults everywhere. So don't be surprised if you see faults. Be surprised if you don't see a fault. You know, be surprised if you see purity. Be surprised if you see selfless service. You know, that should be surprising. So, when in our interactions with others, also we should focus on. We should focus our attention not on the faults, because we just take faults as a given. You know, when you meet a person, it's a given. There are going to be faults. Ourselves, it's just like a given. I have 1,000,000 faults. That's it. That's what I am. I'm just a walking blob of faults. So if you see a fault in me, like, you've got good vision. And if you have better vision, you'd see a lot more. But if you can see some good quality in me, then wow, really? That's great. I'm so happy that you were. So yeah, we should sharpen our vision to see. We should see the good qualities, and to see that that person did a lot of service. But if the fault manifests in such a way that it affects us, that we lose our inspiration to serve, that we lose our faith in Krishna, like that, then we may just need to distance ourselves from the person. Right? Sometimes that happens. But that's just life, you know? Like, somebody disappoints you, I put my trust in that person, they disappointed me, they mistreated me. Okay, so then you distance yourself from that person and find somebody else. You know, like, we've had the unfortunate situation in ISKCON that gurus have fallen down and so many devotees have lost their faith. But it's just like we're on the Bhakti Marg, we're on the path of Bhakti, we're on this journey, we're on the road back to Godhead, right? And we take help from devotees who are strong, who can carry us along the road. Like, you get on a bus, the bus carries you along the road. But if the bus has a flat tire and breaks down, then you don't stay sitting on the bus lamenting and feeling sorry for yourself. Oh, I got on the wrong bus, my bus broke down, now I'm stuck here forever, what am I going to do? I can never make advancement along this road because the bus. No, get off the bus and get on another bus. Like, put your thumb out, hitchhike, get there, you know? Just get on the next bus that's coming and go. So we have to be practical, you know, and not just be drowned in lamentation about all the unfortunate circumstances in our life and be paralyzed by all of our past traumas and tragedies. Because that's just common. That's just what this world is. It's a world full of traumas and tragedies and problems and faults. But we're on our way out of this world. So we need to find that bus that's running. We need to find that person who can carry us, who can help us, who's compassionate, who's pure, who cares about us, and just go with that. Just go with them. You know, I also had my first guru fell down, but I'm still grateful for the distance that he took me. You know, like without him, I may have not have been a devotee. I may not have stayed in Krishna consciousness those first few years. So when I think of him with a lot of love and gratitude for all the ways that he helped me up to a certain point. And then when that point came where he wasn't able to help me anymore, then I just jumped on another bus. You know, I got another guru, and I tried my best to keep going. So like that, we need to be practical. You know, it's not a sentimental thing. It's a very practical process. Bhakti it's a science. We just need to get the ingredients that work. You know, if you're doing a scientific experience and you experiment in a laboratory and you find out that one of your chemicals got contaminated by some other chemical, you don't use that. You get a new bottle and you just go ahead, do the experiment. Like, don't stay crying and thinking, oh, I'm going to fail the exam because my chemical got some, like water in it or something. We just need to be practical. It's a science. We need to keep going with this experiment and get the results and get love for Krishna and help each other. So when we cooperate together, then Krishna is pleased. When we have loving, trusting relationships, Krishna is so pleased that, like with the Prachetas, he appeared before them and said, I'm so happy with you because of your loving, trusting, cooperative relationships. How you've cooperated to please me. I want to award you a benediction. And it's only through the Lord's benedictions that we're able to be successful. Nothing happens without Krishna's mercy. So it's a way to precipitate Krishna's mercy, is to have these loving, trusting relationships, get the blessings of the Lord coming down through the devotees, and then everything that we do is going to be blessed with success. Jai. Grant Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.